the main thing that you want to do is you want to change people's thinking. And there's a big difference between giving value and changing thinking.
Welcome to the Content Amplified podcast, brought to you by Masset. Our goal is to help you get more from your marketing content. Each episode is a 10 to 15 minute interview with industry experts that share amazing insights to help you squeeze as much juice from your content as you possibly can. Here's today's interview.
Welcome back to another episode of Content Amplified. Today I'm joined by Zach. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Love it. Zach, well, before we dive into the subject today, maybe you could share a little bit about who you are, what you do, what you love about marketing and content, just so we can kind of get to know you.
100%. In 2018, I did an internship at a company called digitalmarketer.com. Have you ever heard of Digital Marketer?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I interned there in 2018. And basically, backstory is my boss asked me to be the marketing manager. I had no idea what I was doing. So I thought, what better way to learn how to do marketing than to intern at a marketing training company? I couldn't pay for marketing training myself, but I could get a job at the company that does it. And it was there that I met this guy, Ben, who he's a copywriter. And I'd never actually met somebody with the term copywriter in their job title because I thought it was legal copywriting was the only form of that. But his skills mystified me because he could sit down, type an email, send it, and the company would make money. And that just seemed like pure magic to me. I was like, I have to learn this skill. I have to learn how to build a list, send them emails, and basically make money on command. And that was now 6 years ago. And today, after doing that for a company that I worked for several years, last year, I started my own email marketing agency, and now all I do is help brands monetize their email lists.
I love it. And email is such an interesting subject because everyone does it differently. Everyone has different focal points with email. Everyone has different audiences, but there are some underlying principles that we're going to talk about today. We're going to dive into some things that you're probably ignoring with your email. And Zach has some really good pointers and tips for us today. So Zach, when it comes to email marketing, you've got this list, you've worked hard for it, people have subscribed, and you've got people in the system. Where do you start? What should you be focused on in the first little while, and why should I care what I'm doing at the very beginning?
Rule number one is don't be boring. Boredom is the absolute number one biggest sin in all of email marketing. It's just boredom. Anytime a company says to me, email doesn't work anymore, does it? I say, well, people check their email maybe 20 times a day. You know, like people open their phones and like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, email. They have their routine of apps that they check. Email is one of them. If email doesn't work for you, it's probably because one of two things is wrong. Either one, you have a list problem where you have just the wrong people on your list, or two, you have a content quality problem. It's just you're boring to read emails from. The second thing is you've got to set really, really good expectations when somebody becomes an email subscriber. Because when you create a lead magnet and somebody opts into your list, whatever they took for free at first is what they will want more of later on. So you go to an e-commerce website, for example, and it says 25%, give your email address, get 25% off. Well, great. The first thing you gave them was a discount. What do you think they're going to be looking for forever now? More discounts. That's why you see a lot of these companies in the subject line. It's like last chance, 15% off, flash sale, boring, extremely predictable. There's nothing interesting. There's nothing fun or entertaining about it, which people want entertainment more than anything. And you're just, you're essentially robbing yourself in broad daylight because you haven't figured out how to make customers want to buy from you at your full price, whether you're an e-commerce brand or a software brand or a service company from the very beginning. So those are the two biggest things: is don't be boring and set really clear expectations with your subscribers from the beginning about what they can expect from your emails.
Love it. So you've worked hard, good magnet, good expectations. Now it comes time for the first couple of emails, the first sequence. What should we consider at the very get-go to make sure that we're often like building the relationship that's going to actually last and let people have the permission to let us email them and continue to do so for weeks, months, or even years and hit their inbox.
What people think they should do is, quote unquote, give value. Give value is the term that people just like throw out there with content creation because it sounds so obvious it's hard to disagree with. Nobody's going to tell you should not give value. So it's kind of silly that that's the paramount thing people refer to as, well, we got to give as much value as possible. Like, I don't think we know. We got to agree what that even means, because the main thing that you want to do is you want to change people's thinking. And there's a big difference between giving value and changing thinking. For example, let's say I'm writing an email for a health company, and health is just a really easy example because everybody understands health, about weight loss, for example. Giving value would be, here's the steps, right? You want to lose 10 pounds? Here's how to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the steps to lose weight. You and I both know a subscriber's probably not going to do much with that information because A, it's free. There were no roadblocks to getting it. And number one, people are just not very motivated to change. On the other hand, I could, rather than teach them something or give value, I can change their thinking. So I can tell them, hey, did you know that the number one cause of, weight gain in America is XYZ? Or did you know that the number one reason working people are gaining weight at such a rapid pace is because of how much they sit in their chairs? So you notice the difference between those two is I didn't just teach them how to solve the problem. I taught them why the problem is occurring. Another great example of this is in November, I did some Black Friday emails for a company that sells organic soap. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to sell soap? Like these literally bottles of soap. And we had an email that did over $10,000 in soap sales because of this approach of don't just teach them or offer the thing directly, change their thinking so that once they've changed their mind, the next logical thing for them to do is buy the product. And the subject line was the second largest organ in your body, which curiosity, right? People will take action based on curiosity, even if they don't see the benefit, simply because they have to scratch the itch. So I want people going in thinking, what is the second largest organ in my body? And it opens up with, when most people think of organs, they think of kidney, they think of liver, they think of intestines. What they don't think of is skin. Big, bold, all caps letters. Skin is the second largest organ in the body, but no one takes care of it. That's why we created these organic soaps and salves. So with that email, right, the objective, again, is change thinking. Get them to think differently about a problem that they have. When you get a new email subscriber, you should dedicate the first 10 emails to infiltrating their mind and getting them to think differently about your subject of expertise. Don't just give them how-to steps. Don't just give them instructions and quippy stories. Really get them to think about how they're approaching solving the problem now is wrong and how there's a better way. Because if you can get them to change their mindset, then it becomes so much easier to simply ask them to do something. And one other thing you should do is plug a call to action in every single email. You want to train people to expect that, yes, you're going to provide lots of valuable insights and you're going to change the way they think about things, but you're also going to sell to them because this ain't charity, right? We got a business to run. And I see lots of companies shoot themselves in the foot with quote unquote newsletters or, value add content where they're basically training people to just expect everything's going to be handed to them. And then when they try to sell something, their subscriber base revolts. Right? Where's the value? Oh, you're a sellout now. You're just trying to make money from us. And I'm going, you got to set an expectation that we sell things here, right? We have a business. So you do those two things in every single email when you get a new subscriber. Change the way they think about their problem and make sure you offer a solution they can step into.
I love it. Yeah, sound advice. That's really powerful. So before the podcast, we were talking for a minute, and you talked about how often businesses overlook a welcome series for emails and how to really kick things off. How should we look at that? How should we build those? Why are they important? What are some statistics and things like that we should know about them?
The biggest thing with a welcome sequence is a guy named Ian Stanley taught this to me recently, that you basically have 10 to 14 days when you get a new subscriber where they're in, he calls it the acceptance window, which is they're new to your world. They're eagerly looking forward to what you're going to say. That is the peak of their attention, right? When they're brand new subscribers. And you've got to capitalize on that window of time. So what you should do is you should send an email almost every day. I personally advocate for every day for the first 10 to 14 days, but I understand that some companies are sheepish about it or maybe a little afraid. Almost every single day you should be sending an email that covers every aspect of what a customer needs to understand before they'll buy your product. So you want to start with the welcome email, and a welcome email should deliver on the promise you made in the opt-in page. You should tell them what to expect going forward. You should reveal some of your personality, right? Get them feeling a connection to you. If there's no voice, if there's no personality, there's no connection. And if there's no connection, no relationship, then you're just another, faceless name in the inbox. And you should, again, offer your core product. And for that 10 to 14 days, you have one offer. You have one core product. Schedule a demo, buy this product, book an appointment that you're pitching in every email. The second email, you should be trying to start conversations. So ask people in the second email, hey, did you get the thing I sent you in the first email? I just want to make sure you got it. I just want to check to make sure you got this thing. It's really awesome. I think you're going to love it. Would you please reply and let me know so I can sleep well at night? It's a really genius email that Ian came up with as well. And then for the rest of the sequence, you come up with a list of every objection they'll have to buying your thing, every reason why they should buy it, and you just make an email for each individual thing. And again, infuse it with personality, infuse it with story. And by the end of that 14-day window, if they have read every email, they should know everything there is to know about your product, right? They're probably not going to read every single one, and that's okay. But the main thing is they've now become accustomed to two things. One, your personality. The fact that you're not a faceless sender, that you actually have some flavor and some style and some storytelling in the way you create content. And second, they should be accustomed to the fact that you make them offers. Most companies miss that completely, or they do some lame like, P.S. if you're interested, click here. No, there should always be a segue to the offer. A good email framework is, this happened, so there's a story, which made me realize, which means. And you just kind of go those three. I learned that from Jay Acunzo, I think is his name. Jay Acunzo, this happened, which made me realize, which means. Every single email. Here's the story. Here's what I made me realize, which means for you, call to action. And if you just follow that framework for 14 days in a row, just compare yourself to the other autoresponder sequences happening with your competitors, and you'll realize there's a lot of low-hanging fruit here with new email subscribers that we're just completely ignoring.
Yeah, I love it. So are you recommending that people send those from like personal accounts or from business accounts? How do I know like who the sender should actually be, especially if they signed up, maybe on a corporate page with some kind of a hook or something like that?
I think that every company should have a person whose name is on the sender field. When people are reading emails, the subject line, of course, gets them to open it. But the name, the from name, is what gets them to not delete it. When you're going through your inbox and you see an email from your friend Jake from high school, even if it says no subject in the subject line, like literally didn't put one, you don't delete that email because you know Jake, you like Jake, you trust Jake. So you should identify somebody in your company who's going to be the face or the voice that our emails come from, someone who really represents the personality of the brand. And it can change over time. It doesn't have to be this fixed thing forever. But pick a name, pick a face that people can get to know, people can actually have a dialogue with, and make that person the one that your emails come from. All my emails come from Zach Garside. All of my clients, we pick a person who's going to be the face of the brand, and they are in the from name of every single email. Because then people start to build a relationship with the sender. If you just put the name of the company, it screams advertising, like before they've even looked at the subject line,
Yeah. Do you recommend, on that note, focusing on highly stylized like HTML or purely text? Is it different per circumstance? How do you kind of know how to format the email when you're looking at it, sending it from an individual?
I think it all depends on what you're selling. So with my personal business, I'm plain text only. I use an email service provider that doesn't even allow images. With the average brand, the main thing is, again, don't be boring. Don't be predictable. So switch it up. One of the best e-commerce brands at this is a company called Gains in Bulk. They sell creatine and protein supplements. And they do a fantastic job of switching it up between design-heavy HTML and plain text. Because you want to be interesting. You don't want to be boring. The other supplement and health brands, it's the same subject line formula and it's the same design every single email. It's extremely predictable. So that's the main thing, is just don't be predictable, which kind of flies in the face of what a lot of brands think. They're like, okay, every Wednesday is going to be our newsletter on this. Every Friday is going to be this email. I think you are making a huge mistake when you do that, because you become boring. You become predictable. Don't be predictable. Switch up the style of email that you use often. Do plain text, then switch to design, then do, plain text with a picture in it, like it's coming from a friend. Then go back and do another design. Do a letter from the CEO that looks like an official memo. Switch it up. Be a little bit different on each one. As long as, again, people have that relationship with the sender, they're going to be interested in what's in the email, regardless of what it looks like.
I love that. And I think that's a great way to end off the episode. I think there's a ton of solid advice in this. I'm really looking forward to people listening. If anyone wants to continue the conversation, has questions about emails, needs help on that side of things, how can they connect with you and reach out and find you online?
ZachGarside.com. That's it. ZACGARSIDE. I got a free email template there too. It's called the Which One Are You email. You just download it, send it to your list, and watch what happens to your opens, replies, and sales.
Love it. And we'll link to everything inside the show notes. Again, Zach, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you for listening to the Content Amplified podcast. Please subscribe and leave us a review. And for additional ways to get more out of your content, visit our website at getmasset.com. That's getmasset.com. And tune in next time to the Content Amplified podcast.